You are sitting at a red light. 2 minutes pass, 3 minutes. The sensor cannot detect your bike. Traffic is flowing the other way, but your lane is stuck on red because the system thinks nobody is there. So you wait like an idiot, or you risk the ticket and roll through. Here's the thing. In some states, that is not illegal. That is just one of 13 motorcycle laws that sound completely made up, but are 100% real. Some will save you tickets. Others will land you in court because you had no idea you were breaking them. And a few are so specific and bizarre, you will wonder who wrote this stuff. I am breaking down the laws that separate riders who know their rights from the ones funding their local police department. Let us get into it. Law number 1. You can legally run red lights in certain situations. Illinois, Missouri, Minnesota, and more than 20 other states allow this when you are stuck at a malfunctioning traffic light that will not change because the sensor cannot detect your bike. If that happens, you may proceed through the intersection after waiting 120 seconds. 2 minutes. Check that it is safe and you are legally allowed to go. Why does this law exist? Because traffic sensors are designed for cars. Your 500-pound bike usually does not trip the magnetic loop buried in the asphalt. You could sit there until rush hour ends, or until a sport utility vehicle pulls up behind you. The law acknowledges that reality, and that is how it became known as the dead red law. But here is the trap. You need to prove the light was malfunctioning, and that you waited a reasonable time. If a police officer sees you roll through after 30 seconds with traffic around that is still running a red light, the law protects you when you are genuinely stuck, not when you are impatient. Know the difference before you test it. Law number 2. Helmet loopholes nobody mentions. Florida lets you ride without a helmet if you are over 21 and carry at least $10,000 in medical insurance. Michigan and Pennsylvania have similar rules with slight variations. Sounds simple, right? The problem is riders hear no helmet required and think they are good to go. They forget about the insurance requirement. Then they get pulled over, cannot prove coverage, and suddenly they are looking at fines and points on their license. The logic behind these laws is straightforward. If you are old enough and insured enough to cover your own medical bills after a crash, the state lets you make that choice. But enforcement is strict. You need proof of that coverage on you, and in some states the law only applies to certain engine sizes or bike types. So yes, you can ride without a helmet in some places, but unless you have read the exact requirements for your state, and you have got the paperwork to back it up, you are gambling with more than just your safety. Law number 3. Passenger foot pegs are mandatory, even when unused. You strip down your bike for a cleaner look. You remove the passenger pegs because they are ugly, and you never carry anyone anyway. Then one day you give your buddy a quick ride around the block and you get pulled over. In most states, it is illegal to carry a passenger unless your bike has foot pegs for them. It does not matter if they use them. It does not matter if it is a short ride. No pegs, no passenger, period. Some states go further and require a designated passenger seat, not just a padded fender or cowl. If your bike does not have a proper seat designed for 2 people, carrying someone is off limits. This law catches newer riders and custom bike builders all the time. You think you are just being a good friend, giving someone a lift. The officer sees an equipment violation and a safety hazard. That 5-minute favor just cost you a ticket you cannot talk your way out of. Those laws might save you hassle in the right situation, but these next ones are traps waiting to snap shut. Law number 4. Eye protection is required even with a windshield. New York, Georgia, and Minnesota require eye protection when you ride, and no, your windshield does not count. It does not matter how tall it is or how much coverage it provides. You need goggles, a visor, or shatter-resistant riding glasses. The thinking is that windshields cannot block everything. A bug hits you at 60 miles per hour, or a pebble kicks up from the car ahead, and suddenly you are riding blind. The law says your eyes need direct protection, not just a piece of plastic 2 feet in front of you. Here is where it gets stupider. Some states specify that your eye protection must be shatter-resistant, which rules out regular sunglasses. And if you are riding at night, dark or tinted lenses are illegal after sunset in several places. So the glasses that kept you legal at 6 p.m. could get you a ticket by 8 p.m. Riders get pulled over for this constantly. They assume their full-face windshield covers them, or they grab whatever sunglasses were lying around. Then a state trooper spots them squinting into the wind and decides to make it a teaching moment. One cheap pair of riding goggles prevents all of that. Law number 5. Feet off pegs equals a citation. California and Texas will ticket you if your feet are not on the pegs while the bike is moving. Stretch your legs for a second to relieve a cramp, and if the wrong officer sees you, that will be a citation for improper vehicle control. The law exists because proper foot placement supposedly equals better control of your bike. And sure, that is true in theory, but it completely ignores real-world riding. Sometimes you shift your legs to adjust gear, avoid a hot exhaust pipe, or just stay comfortable on a long haul. It does not matter. The moment you are not maintaining what the law considers full control, you are in violation. And do not even think about hanging your legs out like you are cruising on a beach chair. That will get you pulled over faster than doing a wheelie in a school zone. This law especially hits long-distance riders who need to move around to prevent numbness. You are not being reckless. You are trying to stay alert and comfortable. But technically, you are breaking the law every time you do it. Law number 6. Side-by-side riding is banned in some states. Montana and Arkansas prohibit 2 motorcycles from riding side-by-side in the same lane. You need to ride in staggered formation or single file. The reasoning is that side-by-side limits your ability to swerve or react quickly, which creates a safety hazard. The problem is that in group riding culture, side-by-side formation gets taught during slow parades or parking lot drills. Then riders assume it is fine on public roads. It is not. Once you are out on the highway, especially at speed, some states want you offset for safety and maneuverability. Even in states where the law does not explicitly ban it, cops can interpret side-by-side riding as unsafe operation, especially if traffic is heavy or lanes are narrow. That friendly cruise with your buddy could land you both tickets, or worse, put you in a dangerous spot if something goes wrong and neither of you has room to move. Think those are weird? Wait until you hear about the licensing traps. Law number 7. Trikes and sidecars need a separate license. In California, you need a Class M3 license to operate 3-wheeled motorcycles. You cannot just grab your regular motorcycle endorsement and hop on a trike. The DMV treats them as completely different machines because the handling dynamics are nothing alike. No leaning into corners and no counter-steering the same way. A trike handles closer to an all-terrain vehicle or a small convertible than a traditional bike. The state figures if you are going to operate a different kind of machine, you need to prove you can handle it. Here is where it gets messier. If you take your motorcycle test on a trike, you will only be licensed to ride 3-wheeled bikes. You will not legally be allowed to ride a regular 2-wheeler without taking another test. That catches a lot of people who thought they were skipping the hard part of the motorcycle test by using a trike. So if you are thinking about getting into the 3-wheeled world with a Can-Am or a custom rig, make sure you know what your state requires, because showing up with the wrong license could turn your new toy into an expensive lawn ornament you cannot legally ride. Law number 8. Your license plate light has strict requirements. Your license plate needs to be lit by a white light only. It must shine downward, directly onto the plate. No colored LEDs, no blue glow that makes your bike look like a UFO, and no flashing gimmicks. A lot of riders modding their bikes love adding underglow kits or colored accent lights on the rear fender. What they do not realize is that if your license plate light is anything other than standard white, or if it is too dim to clearly illuminate your plate, you will get pulled over. Texas, Georgia, and Arizona enforce this strictly. Some states even require that the light stays on whenever the bike is running, day or night. If you are thinking about going plateless, or hiding the plate in some clever spot to make your bike look cleaner, that is a fast track to getting your bike impounded. So while you are obsessing over the perfect exhaust tone and custom paint job, do not forget the boring stuff. That tiny white bulb keeps you legal. Getting busted for something that costs $5 at the parts store is the definition of a rookie move. Law number 9. Sidewalk parking is legal in some cities. San Francisco allows motorcycles to park on the sidewalk as long as they do not block pedestrian traffic. In certain areas of the city, it is completely legal to pull up on the curb and tuck your bike neatly out of the way. Before you launch your Harley onto the nearest sidewalk, understand that these rules are hyper-local. Just because it is legal in one city, or even one part of a city, does not mean it applies everywhere. One block over, you could be looking at a hefty fine or a towed bike. These laws were put in place to help with motorcycle congestion in urban areas where street parking is scarce. It makes sense. Why take up a full car space when your bike barely takes up 6 feet? But here is the trap. Police officers often engage in ticketing motorcycles parked on sidewalks just outside the allowed zones. Sometimes the signage is not clear. You might think you are in a safe spot, but if you do not know the exact rules for that area, you are rolling the dice. Yes, sidewalk parking is a hidden perk in certain cities, but unless you have read the specific rules for that exact spot, do not assume you have a free pass. Now here's where the laws get really controversial. Law number 10. You can ride on the shoulder in certain areas. Most of the time, riding on the shoulder is illegal. It is seen as reckless, dangerous, and a fast way to get pulled over. But there are exceptions. Very specific, very local exceptions can actually save you from a dangerous traffic jam. Minnesota's Twin Cities area has a program called bus-only shoulder use. During congestion on designated highways, motorcycles are allowed to ride on those bus-only shoulders. You cannot just jump on the shoulder because you are stuck in traffic and feeling impatient. There are speed limits, signage rules, and safety guidelines you have to follow. The program only applies to certain highways and only under specific conditions like low traffic speeds. Break those rules, and you are getting a ticket for reckless driving. The logic makes sense. In gridlock, motorcycles become vulnerable to rear-end collisions. Bikes overheat sitting in stop-and-go traffic. Letting them escape through the shoulder when done safely actually reduces risk and improves traffic flow for everyone. But here is the problem. If you are riding through an unfamiliar city and you see another biker cruise past traffic on the shoulder, do not assume it is legal. They might be local and know the deal, or they might be setting you both up for a ticket. The shoulder is not your personal express lane. In a few places, under the right conditions, it might just be your legal lifeline. Just be sure you know the rules before you test them. Law number 11. Lane splitting is legal in some states. California is the only state where lane splitting is fully legal and recognized in the vehicle code. Riders can legally ride between cars and slow or stop traffic. The idea is that it reduces congestion, prevents rear-end collisions, and keeps traffic flowing smoother for everyone. The California Highway Patrol even has guidelines for it. Stay under 10 miles per hour faster than surrounding traffic. Do not split lanes when traffic is moving above 30 miles per hour. Use common sense and do not be aggressive about it. But the story does not end in California. Utah has a version called lane filtering. It is legal when traffic is stopped at a red light and the biker stays under 15 miles per hour. Arizona, Montana, Oregon, and Minnesota passed a similar law recently. The problem is, most riders do not realize how state-specific these rules are. Just because you filtered at a red light in Salt Lake City does not mean you can do the same in Phoenix without getting pulled over. The laws vary wildly, and enforcement is inconsistent. Studies show lane splitting is safer when done correctly. It reduces the risk of getting rear-ended by a distracted driver. It prevents bikes from overheating in traffic. It keeps riders visible instead of buried in someone's blind spot. But cross a state line without knowing the local law, and you could go from legal to illegal in seconds. Cops in states where it is banned will pull you over immediately. And good luck explaining that you thought it was fine because you saw someone do it on YouTube. So if you are planning to split lanes or filter through traffic, check the rules for every state you are riding through. This is one of those things that can get you cheers in one place and fines in the next. Know the difference, and do not assume everyone on the road knows the rules you are following. And finally, the law that catches riders every single night. Law number 12. Tinted visors are illegal after sunset. We all love a good tinted visor. It makes you look like a fighter pilot, blocks the sun, and adds a touch of mystery when you ride into the sunset. But those same tinted visors are illegal to use at night in several states. California requires helmet visors to be clear or only lightly tinted when you ride at night. New York, Illinois, and several other states have similar rules. The reasoning is simple. Dark visors reduce your visibility, and lawmakers know how fast things go wrong when your field of vision is compromised. That stylish dark smoke visor might help during the day, but the moment the sun dips below the horizon, it becomes a liability. You could be riding blind into turns on unlit roads. You might not see debris, potholes, or animals crossing, and if you get pulled over after dark with a blackout visor, you are likely to get a ticket. Most riders do not even realize this law exists until it is too late. They head out for a day ride with a tinted visor, the sun sets, and suddenly they are squinting through darkness trying to see the road. Or worse, they get stopped by an officer who has seen this mistake 100 times. The smart move is to swap in a clear visor at dusk, or carry one in your bag just in case. There are also photochromic visors that darken in sunlight and go clear at night. They cost more, but they save you the hassle and the risk. Law number 13, the visor trap nobody talks about. Here is the part that makes the visor law even more frustrating. Enforcement is wildly inconsistent. Some officers will let you off with a warning, others will write you up without hesitation, especially if they have worked accident scenes where visibility was a factor. In some states, the law applies to all eye protection, not just helmet visors. If you are wearing dark sunglasses after sunset instead of clear glasses, that is technically a violation too. This law is not about control, it is about preventing stupid mistakes that get you hurt or fined. If you cannot see, you cannot ride safe. If an officer sees you riding with a blackout visor at 10 p.m., do not be surprised when those blue lights start flashing. Knowing these obscure laws separates smart riders from the ones funding their local police department. Some of these will save you tickets. Others will keep you from making mistakes that land you in court or worse. Which of these laws exist in your state? Drop a comment with the weirdest motorcycle law you've heard. I guarantee someone's got a story that tops this list. Hit subscribe so we can keep exposing the legal traps nobody talks about. Half the battle is knowing the rules. The other half is knowing which ones actually matter.